I reckon, is recording.
Oh my God.
The anxiety of me watching that throughout is going to be overwhelming. Let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast right now. Hello and welcome to In the Pocket, the bass guitar podcast where we get the lowdown on the low end. My name's Johnny, a totally average bass player, and each week I'm joined by a different co-host to talk all about that bass. So, everybody listening at home, you know what time it is. This week I am very lucky to be joined by the terrifically talented Tone Tickler YouTube sensation and my inspiration. It's Patrick Hunter, everybody. Round of applause.
Whatever. Nuh-uh. Don't you dare put me up like that and put yourself down. You sweet man. You quit that right now.
I've just done the most British thing ever. Just put myself down straight away.
And I won't allow it.
Oh, thank you. Raise me back up.
Sweet, man.
Oh, no, you need to take it, man. You need to take it because you need to fucking take it. Because, you know, I get compared to you a lot, and if I were you, I'd take it as a compliment.
That's literally how. So the way I initially even found your channel was someone had said, "Hey, this British version of you already made a video on this," and it was the Harley Benton RB414, the Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
And then from there, like I saw your channel, and I was just like, holy shit, he kind of is. This is badass.
I mean, the visual representation is kind of, you know, when I had my like shaved head and a beard, I was close,er.
Yeah.
But yeah, I in early days, I get compared to you so much, and because honestly, like, I love YouTube and I love bass, but oh my god, the lack of pick playing on YouTube is just criminal. And when people play with a pick, they'll palm mute it or play super light, and I'm like, oh, that's useful to some, but it's really not useful to me. I like people that absolutely, you know, ferociously abuse that string, which
it's like it's an instrument, it's meant to be played.
Exactly. I was just gonna say you are one of those abusers, so so yeah, thank you for helping me kickstart by you know, being inspiration for all of us, Patrick.
No,
of course.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Now, enough of blowing and hot air up your bum. Let's move on to the first three questions, which I like to ask all of our co-hosts that come on. And the first one it's a tough one. It's choosing just 3 words to describe your bass playing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
that was 3.
I went through shit. Loud, abrasive, swirly.
Oh,
I like using choruses a lot. I love chorus. I think that's like my favorite effect. And but with bass, it works so well in a mix. I think also because when my fiance and I first started dating, I had heard The Cure before, and I knew how much of a legacy they already had on so many of my favorite artists already. But then when I listened to more and more of them, like as like our relationship grew, I was just like, holy shit. It's just that swelling, like just chorusy bass that's always going through it. And I love it.
Yeah, man. Like chorus, apart from like distortion, overdrive, maybe fuzz, chorus is the only like actual effect I've used in a song before, because normally I'm, you know, I want a consistent sound and I'm just laying it down, and so I don't normally go that crazy with effects. But chorus can just help you, even though sometimes it can suck the low end of it. It just helps you poke out sometimes in certain areas, and like a verse bit, chords with chorus as well, and then mix it in with some distortion.
Yes, exactly.
Dang.
Especially like in my old band when we would play live, because we were just a 3-piece. Like my one goal was to run around stage as much as I could, then jet back to my microphone for the harmony parts, not fall, and then also just make as much noise as possible. Because especially when you're playing with a 4-piece, 5-piece, whatever, you want to fill in as much sound as possible. And
Yeah.
Muse is like probably my favorite band of all time, and definitely my biggest inspiration, just because of the riffs that Matt and Chris have created over the last 2 decades or whatever.
Yeah.
Like literally since Showbiz, their first album, I was, oh my God, I just fell in love with it. And so there's one of those things I didn't even realize that they were such an inspiration to me until I started really playing.
Until you started playing, and then you thought, no.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, and a 3-piece, you know, it's huge sound. I know it's probably not just them, you know, in recording and things like that, but it's massive. And the role of a bass player in a 3-piece is totally different to when you've got 2 guitars, you know, because you've potentially got a rhythm, melody, and 2 different things going on. The role that you have is totally different, and I really want to be in a 3-piece for in my next band, honestly, because I want the excuse to buy lots of gear and
do it. Yes, do it.
Hey, that's why I started. That's honestly why I started the channel, is because I wanted to buy that Harley Benton Rickenbacker that we said, and I was like, I don't really need this. I know, I'll make a video on it.
See, that's literally what YouTube is, and then you can be like, tax cut right there, bam, good to go.
Yeah, perfect. It's for an business expense.
Yep.
Amazing. So that, you know, these are quick fire questions, and you know, we're already off to a good start. Nice and long answer. Great. So the second question I would like to ask is, and I think I know the answer to this one, is what is your number 1 bass?
It's a made in Mexico sage green jazz bass from like 2002. I think I dated it back or whatever, that I got used probably like 8 years ago now. Has it really been that long? Wow.
Damn.
Hell, I mean, I'm getting 30. My memory's going blank anyway. So, but it's a MIM, just a sage green jazz bass that the previous owner had put a Made in Mexico Fender Mark Hoppus P bass neck on.
Oh.
And I didn't realize that when I bought it. And they also put on Seymour Duncan quarter pounders. Really, the only thing I've done to the actual bass itself is added DiMarzio clip locks, strap locks, and that's it. And it's just a chunky P bass neck, but with really thick and just massive sounding J bass pickups. And of course, you get more versatility. You can roll off the front pickup, roll off the back one if you want. Yeah, everything in between that. And that bass, I think I've pretty much recorded every single song with that bass.
And I knew you were going to say that one, because it's iconic, you know. Now it's an absolute machine. It's actually, I think the first video I saw of yours was a Dark Glass. It said Dark Glass had posted on their page, I think, or it might have been on my Discover on Instagram or something. But and that's when I saw that bass and was like, holy moly, that looks incredible. And obviously it all sounded phenomenal.
Thanks, man. Yeah, people still ask me about it too. I'm just like, golly, like I thought people like at this point would understand, especially because it's the color, I think, that mainly gets people.
Yeah.
And of course the giant there's a big sanded part right where your elbow runs against, because apparently the paint chipped and the previous owner just sanded it down to the bare wood.
Yeah, it
looks cool as hell. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it.
Again, instruments are meant to be played.
Totally. And with that era of made in Mexico Fenders is just so good. The early 2000s. Like there are hundreds of recording studios out there with a P bass or a jazz bass from that era made in Mexico sat in there. I've seen so many people just been like, yeah, like this, I use this for everything. It's never let us
down. That's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah, that era is so good. And now I want one now. But yeah, incredible. So the next question is why, Patrick, did you pick up the bass?
So I only have one sibling, and it's my older brother by about 5 years. We grew up in I guess, musical household. My dad has played guitar forever. So I remember like just messing around on it, of course, when you're a kid or whatever. Then when my brother turned 11, he got this ESP LTD like bass like kit sort of thing, you know, and the ones that comes with the amp and the strap and the like the instrument cable and everything that you need. He got that, and so I had to be like 6, yeah. And my brother's like my hero. So seeing him play bass, I was like, I want to play bass. A few years later, I think he sort of dropped it, but then I just sort of like started messing around with it or whatever. But then when I was, I guess like 14 or so, I started really like actually learning stuff and being like, hey, this is a lot of fun. I really like playing this. And just kind of went from there. And it's funny too, because I'm left-handed. I was told by many people that you have to play left-handed guitars, but it's like I literally only have right-handed guitars. So I'm just going to learn how to play right-handed.
Wow, I never knew that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's caused a couple problems with my right hand because I'm just like, man, I know if I flip this bass over, I'd really be able to nail like triplets with my fingers. I know I could with my left hand, but my right hand just feels so like, bleh. But it's okay.
It's like you've been learning with a handicap the whole time. So then if you remove you might be a god.
Yeah, I am like the older I've gotten, the more grateful I am that I learned right-handed just because of the amount of options is so much, you know, greater, which I feel was so bad for left-handed players because it's just like, guess what? You get about 20% of the entire catalog. Oh yeah.
Crazy. You've got to be sure about that. And like going into a music shop, you're like, and I'll try
There's
that one,
two,
I guess.
cool.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the £100 Ibanez. Okay, I'll try that one.
Yep.
You know, it's so limited. I did a video on the top 10 brands for left-handed, and like, it was slim pickings, you know.
Dude, it sucks. I mean, I just feel so bad, but at the same time, it's just there's not a big demand for it. I also understand why manufacturers don't do it.
100%. Yeah, like in business terms, it makes total sense. I mean, it makes no sense for them to mass produce and create even affordable versions of them, which sucks, but that's the way it goes. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I hope that's given everybody a picture of who you are, what you are, and how you are. But you know, they probably know that already. Moving on to our first question. Nice. So question number 1 comes from Callum on Instagram, who has asked, what are your bass goals for 2022? Now, this episode is the first episode of 2022, so there's probably going to be a couple of topics in here that are talking about the new year and what we're excited for, etc. But bass goals specifically, I'll start. I've had a little think, and honestly, I think this year I just want to learn. I've got a couple. I want to learn more songs. I feel like I don't know enough songs, like and the classics as well. Like I'm self-taught, and I learned by just fiddling around and just like putting a loop on drums and just having a play. One thing that I really like to do is actually I'll go on, you know, there's like live streams that's just like lo-fi hip hop for like hours.
Yeah.
I'll put one of those on and like jam along to it, and I'm like so zen.
And just play on top of it.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's so fun because then you can do whatever you want. You can try and sit in the pocket, which is sometimes a weird rhythm. Or and because there's all these different, there's a lot of modulation in lo-fi, and there's a lot of like out of tune stuff, you know, coming in.
There's a lot of potential too.
Exactly, because you can sit in there or you can do some really cool melodies. And I think the things that force you out of your comfort zone are what cause you to get better. So I want to do more of that.
Yes.
And then learn songs, because I definitely neglect that, and I want to make more time for that in this year. So yeah.
Interesting. So like, so you like use loopers from like a pretty early stage of you like learning and everything, or?
Well, not so much looper, like looper pedals or things like that. I'd like make drums on Logic or something, and then just like loop them and just play along. That's how I used to write songs as well. I'd be like, right, we're going to start with some drums. We'll do this. Bam, 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 bam. exactly like that.
Yeah.
And then I'd like just go with the groove and just think, right, what bass line sounds cool with this? Just mess
Oh,
around
hell yeah, man.
and do it quite organically like that. And I kind of feel like I've lost that a little bit recently. So I want to get back in that kind of groove.
I can definitely understand that feeling too. And, like, it's funny 'cause, uh, watching videos of bassists is cool. Obviously, I love the instrument, but to me, watching I don't know if it's just 'cause it's a rhythm thing or what, but watching a video of a drummer
Mm.
is, like, next level. So, any of, like, the Guitar Center, like, drum offs or whatever they're called, man, I get a kick out of those, and that was, like, what inspires me. I because just like drums is just a whole another thing. That's what makes me be like, cool. I hear a beat and you're like, oh, let's just try this real quick. Let's tune it down to drop B because I don't know. This is a really bad idea. And you just sort of mess around with it.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, when I first started playing, that was like I wanted to play along to the songs that I love. That was the main thing, is I was mad at myself for not being able to do it yet. But it's just like, dude, you're like 14. Of course you can't do it yet. You're not a virtuoso by any means. And you're just sort of learning it. So, like, I ended up, like, would always just, like, learn, and that's actually how I learned by ear too, is just playing along to my favorite songs slowly but surely sort of thing, recognizing, "Oh, we can do this," and sort of, recognizing where the bass sits in something and, like, how I can try and replicate it, separate it, and also maybe elevate it in a different kinda way too. And so it's a lot of fun like that. So I'm really excited for you to start doing that then. Definitely do a Spotify playlist. Uh, that's what I suggest because I have a Spotify playlist of bass songs that help me warm up, or just like some of my favorite songs because that's what you like to play, or songs that you love usually.
Yeah.
So it's just like cool. If I'm like, especially not in like the mood to really record or something, but I know I need to, there's like, hey, just play along to like a song that you really like. And there's someone there that I'm like, I can't play for shit. But it's also like, again, like you said, takes you out of your comfort zone and makes you sort of like, all right, I have to rethink this and really work on this one section over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's something that like just generally has held me back from a lot of things, I think, in life, you know. I think that like not being scared to challenge myself or come to the realization that I'm not as good at something that I thought. Like I'm kind of getting this stage of like I've got my blinders on. I'm a horse, you know.
Mhm.
Those at home can't see I'm doing a horse impression now. It's a very good one. Um, and you know, I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay in my lane. I know how to do this. It's my example I use is like to make thumbnails or to do any kind of graphic design. This is going way off piece now. Um, I will use Photoshop and not Illustrator because I'm too stubborn and afraid to admit that I don't know something. That's
Oh,
the
I
line I
can't
was
use
looking
Illustrator for shit, so
for.
I'm right there with
Yeah.
you.
Oh, in that case, pressure's off. I won't use it. Um,
I'm helping our graphic designer at work right now with like an extra project that because she has like so much on her table. And so I'm a photographer and videographer for the army.
oh,
And
wow.
I was helping her, and she uses InDesign. I didn't even know what InDesign was. And it's like just another Adobe program. I'm assuming kind of similar to Illustrator, but I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
kind of used InDesign. Our graphic designer in work uses it for like creating booklets, flyers, leaflets, that kind of thing, where you can kind of. It's not so creative as Illustrator, where you like design
Hmm.
something maybe 3D or like draw something. It's very much like a bit like Microsoft Publisher, what that used to be, I suppose. But yeah, bass
Yeah.
guitar. Huh.
we're we're both just hanging out.
That's what these people pay to wait. They don't pay. They listen to this for free. That's the problem. They need to pay for the good stuff. So goals for 22, 22, 22. Oh yes, you were talking about drums because I totally know what you mean. Um, in the as a bass player, you know, we're very closely linked to the drums, so it makes total sense as
Yep.
to why we are attracted to it as well. I am constantly tapping on myself and making drum beats, and I love programming
Same.
drums. I love it. Um, I think it's really fun. Um, and it can really, you know, obviously change the feel of a song, and how the bass and the drums work together are some of my favorite moments in songs, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's so good, that bit, how that works, and creating that
Yes, when you hear
synergy.
that in the pocket and you're like, yes.
Exactly. That's
Like that good pocket. And you're just like, oh, yes.
That's why this podcast is called In the Pocket, Patrick.
Ding, ding, ding. He said the name.
I did a mic drop. Oh no, my mic's here. So goals for 2022 then. What are some of your base goals?
So I've been working on my finger strength a lot over the past year, and I really want to continue to do that. I'm primarily a pick player, just because I love the attack. But I just know that I need to work more on just regular plucking and also slapping. I hate slapping, but every once in a while you do it and you're like, okay, I get the appeal. This is really cool. It's just like slapping is just like not my thing. So
Yeah.
I know just like finger dexterity mainly, and also getting out of my comfort zone with not only the songs and like the little demo songs that I make, but the actual videos that I make too. I kind of want to get weird with stuff. I want to do like a 6-string bass because I've never played a 6-string bass. I want to do a 7-string bass because I've never played a 7-string bass. I mean, hell, I got this little thing called a crappy bass a few months back,
Oh, that thing
and it
is
was
so
2
cool.
strings. Dude, it was less than $200. It is so much fun, and it's hilarious because the owner of them, he emailed me after the video came out, like a few weeks after the video came out, and he was just like, "Hey, what's your number?" I gave him my number. He called me and I was like, "Hey, this is Patrick." He goes, "You ruined my life." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I feel so bad because he's just a one-man shop. But he said he had to cut off orders for it after the video came out
No
at
way.
72. He had to cut off orders because he was like, because he takes the money first and then does it. He's like, and I just realized how far back I was getting. Of course, he was joking about the like, "You ruined my life" thing,
Yeah.
but it was just like, holy hell, I'm so sorry. But like, yeah, 2-string bass, 7-string bass. I just want to get weird with it because why not? I want to sell quite a bit of my basses so I can have an excuse to be like, all right, now let's get weird and maybe keep that 6-string bass. So if I can one day be like Thundercat, I can do it.
That is just your come on, that's just your goal eventually. I know it.
That's what I was getting at the whole time.
Yeah, and I can see it happening. I think that's really cool, and because how many guitars have you got at the minute? Don't be shy.
Too many. I haven't done a recent count. I've also, since moving to Austin, have tried my best to offload quite a few. I still think I'm in like the upper teens though, like 17. It's just too many. And honestly, I obviously I don't play them all. Like no one with 17 instruments plays all of them equally.
No way.
But I think I can cut it down to like 10, a dozen, and then have an excuse to be like, all right, cool. Now let's see what sort of 6-stringer I can get.
Yeah. And we'll talk about 6-stringers in a minute because there might be one on here that you might want to get.
Ooh.
And with that, we'll move on to the news right now. Welcome. If I had some paper here, I'd give it a rustle. Hang on, I've got a Twix packet. Welcome to the news.
I got some paper.
Oh, perfect. Tonight.
This just in.
Welcome to Channel 4 News here. So this week, it's New Year. We've had a couple of weeks off the podcast and lots of new stuff coming out and some interesting news as well. We're actually only going to talk about one brand who have announced some new stuff. And I saw you talk about this as well, Patrick. So I'm sure you'll be able to chip in on these. And that is Ibanez. They've got some new stuff going on and people are going mad about it. And so am I. So we'll start off on the worst end and work our way up because they announced an acoustic. Fine. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sorry to neglect all you acoustic lovers out there. I don't care.
Yeah, they're useless.
Whoa,
they're so useless.
Yeah, no, I agree. I nearly bought one when I was young as well. And anyway, we're still giving too much time to the acoustic. Get out. There is a new SR out, premium range, and it's really, really ugly. It is. I'm not going to read the whole name. I refuse to justify saying all those numbers. Um,
I know.
it's loaded with Nordstrands, and it's got this horrible green color. Some people out there, it's going to be, you're going to love it or hate it. It's a real Marmite situation.
Very much,
Have you
yeah.
seen these ones?
Oh, yeah, because it looks like a Zootopia character come to life.
Yeah, it's like what animal would that be? I feel like maybe it's a
Yeah.
turtle or something like that.
I will say one thing, though, is I respect the hell out of Ibanez because I feel they kinda do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and that's, where some brands get stuck in a bit of a rut, like, and then they get into
Yeah.
this danger zone, like brands like Fender and Gibson. They do this. I've spoken about this before, but I think it's so true. They get in the same rut of like, here's this 60s reissue, here's the 70s reissue, same
Yep.
again, 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 again. And I'm like, oh, come on, give us something new. And then they do, people go, don't like it, don't want it. Ooh, stick to what you're good at.
And then they back off real quick. They're like, "No, that was a joke. We're only gonna produce it for, like, 2 months, and then you'll never hear of it
Yeah,
again."
exactly. And I don't know whose fault. It's the consumer's fault, really. That kind of thing. Well, I mean, they're the ones that are causing the demand for things. But But yeah, I like I say, Ibanez, they're kind of in their own lane. They've got their thing going on. People are going to love them or hate them, and yeah, I respect them too because they'll just do what they want. And if it doesn't stick, they're like, it's okay.
Right?
Obviously with the premium range, it's upper end, so it's going to be over 1,000, and so they're probably going to produce a bit less of them. It's maybe a bit less of a risk if they're making more money off smaller sales. Like I said, for some people, it's really going to be their cup of tea. Not for these two guys, though. But what is our cup of tea is there's some new models of the EHB, which is the headless bass, which you had or tried, demoed, didn't you?
Yes, I actually
Oh, you
have
still
it,
got it. Oh.
because I refused to give it back. And I was just like, "Just charge me."
I'll take it, please.
It it's a really rad bass. I just need to get new pickups for it. They just have a very specific, like, not route, but just size to them.
Oh, sure.
Because I know Will, Low and Lobster, he got, new ones because I hate
Yeah, I was
Bartolinis.
gonna say, I think the
They've just
Bartolinis.
never
No,
worked with
I
me.
agree.
They've never worked for me,
I don't
but
really. I took a long time to come. I can kind of compare them to Aguilar because it took me a long time.
mhm,
I'm kind of getting there with Aguilar now, but I like something with a bit of character or like a bit of mid scoop or something like that. And then I don't like it too flat sounding, and that's what Bartolinis do to me. I just don't think that they
exactly.
give me anything. And as an
There's no life in
no,
them.
and as an aggressive pick player, we're cut from the same cloth, in that sense, and
Yep.
it just doesn't work for us. And no amount of EQ and adding things is really going to fix it. And I don't want to be doing that. I want it to sound great as it is, and then have to do as little as
Exactly.
possible, and let my hands do most of the tone work. You know. So yeah, I agree. Bartolini's not for me.
I mean, I think personally, your hands and your pickups are the main sound. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not gonna ever get into tone wood wars because one some people are really dedicated
Oh
to
man.
those.
Oh man. Stay
It's
out of the
like
comments.
it's like the old Xbox 360 versus PS3 discussions back in the day. And, like, some people are just like, "No, because all maple sounds better." And I'll give it to you, a maple neck does sound a little tad bit brighter than a
Yeah.
rosewood one. You got me on that one, guys. But, yeah, it comes down to how you play your fingers and your pickups are the main thing. And if your pickups suck, then it
Yeah,
sucks.
definitely. And I think, I always use this example. It's if you gave John Mayer a Hello Kitty Strat, it's going to sound phenomenal because he's a
Yep.
phenomenal player. It's so much about that. I couldn't make Joe Dart's bass sound good, but put it in his hand. Oh my God, what a
Oh,
machine.
yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree. And pickups for me, I want something simple and something that works. But going back to the EHB, they've brought it out in this insane natural mocha color.
Dude, it looks
Oh my
so
god.
good. It looks so
Oh my
good.
god, I want it so badly. I'm gonna have to like shout at Ibanez until they give me one, until like years down the line. I'm like, so you're just gonna
They are
send it to me now?
so nice,
Yeah,
man.
I've heard nothing but good things about those bases, and I it got me into headless bases as well because I'd never really been keen until that one, and I was like, man, that's just got so much swagger. That thing.
Dude, and they feel fantastic too.
Yeah, I bloody bet. So yeah, that looks incredible, and they've got a matte grey six-string version now. So there's your excuse, mate. You know you like it.
With the weird pickups. It's got the weird pickups
Yeah.
too. I don't know if you noticed that or not,
Oh.
but, uh, the six-string EHB for 2022 and the BTB series
They got the same
for
pickups, have they?
2022, it's these, like, rail
Yeah.
pickups. Because when I saw the pictures, I was like, "What
I
is
saw the
that?" And
BTB.
it's apparently the T1 pickup. I guess it's from
Yes,
Ibanez,
it is. I was checking that earlier because I was like, "What pickups are they in the
right?
BTB?" And you just spoiled the next thing. Um, but
You're like, "You
yeah.
ass."
Ugh. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at a picture now. Yeah, it is. I wonder how they
They're
sound.
so
Yeah,
cool
they are. They're
looking.
really sleek.
That's what I'm very curious about.
Hmm. Yeah, because for these kind of like
I imagine
humbucking
better than
basses, I quite like things with
yeah.
big magnets, like a Music Man, to give you this really full sound. That's really cool. Well, I learned something new. Thank you for saying that because makes sense. But there is still much more to talk about with the BTB because I'll save that one to last because it's changed my opinion because I've never liked those basses. I just
Dude, I'm right
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, because the horns are
Like,
too curvy. It's just
it's so weird. It looks like Maleficent, I think that's her
ha
name from the
yeah,
Disney thing with the she's got the devil horns or
yeah,
whatever.
100%. But man, this multi-scale is
It looks so
so
good.
good, and in the what is it? It's a oh god, how do you say that? Cerulean? Don't know, or a burst matte. It's basically like a burst turquoise. Oh, that looks so good. I love it.
I I I will say that, like, Ibanez, when I saw that they released the 2022 lineup, it I went to like, when I went eventually got to the BTBs, my mouth dropped because I was just like, "Wow." I don't know if it's the colors that changed, I don't know if I'm getting older, and I'm like, "Hey, these look really good because I've openly talked mad shit about them before. Just being like when I did the Ugly Bass series, that I was just like, "The BTBs are ugly." And now I'm just like, "Okay, I get it, I think
But I
now."
think that's totally a thing though, because I do that all the time. Like I used to, like when I first started playing bass, I was like, Rickenbackers, blah, they're disgusting, and I
Yeah.
hate them. Now I'm like, yeah, I'd take one.
I still have never played a real one
No, neither have
before.
I. Hell, let's stop the podcast right now and shut down the YouTube channels because who are we? What do we know? No, neither have I. Just never had the chance. Just never. And if I ever did have the chance, I'd always just played something else that I was thinking of buying in a shop, or because I hate wasting people's time. Bit like that's very expensive. Not going to touch that.
Right?
So with the BTVs, it's 37-inch scale as well, which for those of you who don't know, normal scale is 34-inch. Um, Sometimes get a longer scale 5-string, a 35-inch, and I think that makes a massive difference. 37-inch, these are big boys. Are they going after Dingwall, do you think, with these?
100%. I think Ibanez I also that's another thing too. I think Ibanez listens to
Mm,
people. Um, because I remember when the EHB came out, people were like, "Oh," like, because I think it's 35 and a half or something
yeah,
like that. Uh, because Dingwall's full scale is like 34 to 37. So I think by them throwing the 37 on the BTB series, I think that's them being like balls in your
yeah.
court
Thing is,
sort
they're
of thing.
they're
And
going
it's
after the heavy market because they're
yeah,
the longer your scale is, the better tension that low B is going to be. So it kind of you can afford to tune lower with thicker strings, obviously, and still have that nice tension there. Science, physics, that's what we
right?
do.
And I hate 5 strings because of that. Like except for Dingwalls. I Dingwall to me has the best feeling and sounding B string because I'm not a 5 string player. I never really have been, but they're a lot of fun if that B string doesn't just like I just I don't it's just not my
Yeah.
thing. But when I first played a Dingwall, I was just like, "Oh
This
my
is what it's
god,
meant to be
I
like.
get." Yeah, so I think Ibanez, like, sort of just throwing it out there and being like, "All right, BTB, active, it's got everything you want. It's also 37 inches, and it's, like, I think 1,000, 1,500 cheaper than, like, Dingwall's cheapest model, the
Yeah.
NG3." So it's just like, "Whoa," like,
They're
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 doing it.
making big moves, absolutely.
Yep,
It'll be Harley Benton next, you wait. They'll be
I'm
yeah,
ready.
yeah, bring it on. I'm
I'm
so
ready.
there. Um, they've gone after Rickenbacker, so what's no one's safe.
That's true.
Oh, I forgot to mention another bass that they've launched in this as well, which is the MD65. So it's the Mike, uh, I don't know how to say his surname.
D'Antonio.
D'Antonio, that's it. I was like, is it D'Antonio? D'Antonio? I couldn't see the apostrophe. Um, which is the bass player for Killswitch Engage. It's just a big bass explorer, right? This mad
Yes,
gothic
so
looking one.
I think he's been rocking, like, that, like, Ex Ibanez Explorer shape for God, I don't even know, because it's funny because 'cause I've been a huge Killswitch Engage fan since, like, 2005, maybe? I remember seeing them open up for Slipknot, like, that was, like, my
That's a
3rd or 4th concert, and I
pretty
was in, like,
insane
ninth
gig.
grade. Yeah, and then I remember seeing them at, Warped Tour in, like, 2007 or something like that. And I just love Killswitch Engage, all that old metalcore, you know
Yeah.
how it is. And I swear he's been using, like, an Explorer bass, not, like, never a Gibson or an Explorer or Gibson or Epiphone. I think it's always been an Ibanez one. I don't know if they used to have that
Is
shape
it ins
regularly.
I might be getting confused. What's an Iceman? Ibanez Iceman.
The Iceman's the one that Darren from, s System of a Down
Oh,
uses, the
yes.
guitars for
It's
System of a
got
Down.
a pointy horn on it.
Yes.
But yeah, if you can imagine, I mean, sure, you're all Googling it now. It's a black and red looking. It's got Seymour Duncan's in there as well, and it's got a tone button on the back. Do you see this?
Was it a button?
Oh, it might not be a button, but the tone is on the back. That's all I saw when I zoomed in on the picture. Then, yeah, I don't think it. I think it is a button. I don't. The diagram they've got on there is tiny. It's not like a big knob.
Oh, what the heck? I see what you're talking
It's a
about.
little blue button.
That's cool.
I was gonna try.
See, if I was, like, an artist for somebody and got a signature bass, I would probably try and do something like that. Cause why not? It's weird, it's different, and it also is just like, "Hey, how many times does the bassist for this metal band really need to
Oh,
adjust his
well, I'm
tone
Mark
knob?"
Hoppus, just have the single volume knob. You're done.
Exactly.
And mate, you've spoiled the next question as well, for God's sake. Flipping heck. I did send it to you beforehand. God. Yeah, really cool. I'd love to. I've never played like an Explorer style, any kind of guitar. So I'd love to hear. With this high mass bridge as well, Seymour Duncan's PJ configuration, it's gonna
Mhm.
be huge sounding. Absolutely massive. And yeah, love it. Love it. Maybe that's the weird one you can get on your channel.
Hey, I'm down.
Ibanez, get in touch. So the last bit of news is one that isn't necessarily bass related, but I thought it was just interesting, and I've not seen anyone else really do something like this before. Might just be me. Um, and you know Andertons, right? UK based channel.
Yes.
Um,
Oh,
huge,
yeah.
huge worldwide channel. Based here in Guildford, and they have just launched Andertons Extra, which I thought was really interesting. This isn't anything new. Channels do this all the time, where it's essentially their own version of Patreon, where it's like an exclusive pay monthly deal, and you can get access to extra behind the scenes videos, live streams, giveaways. You know the deal, all this type of thing. I just thought it was an interesting bit of news to bring along and be like, huh, they've started doing that. Like that they must be so popular now that obviously it's, they've got full-time members of staff working on just that YouTube channel.
Oh
Well, yeah,
yeah.
loads. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting. And Johnny Extra coming soon. I'm going to start my own.
I didn't even know this was a thing until you brought it up. That is, I'm looking at the
Yeah,
page for it now. Hell, I mean, it makes sense. So it says extra content, extra deals, fewer distractions. So it's like no ads, which makes sense. So I mean, if you're like, say, just one of those days where you're just going YouTube video after YouTube video, just hanging out sort of thing. I mean, I've done that God knows how many times. The ads, they add, I mean, I guess pun intended, add up. So you're just
yeah.
like, oh my
And
God.
the amount, because like, I don't know about you, the amount of companies that obviously remarket to you through YouTube ads. Because they're owned by Google.
Yes,
Like
God.
I get the same
Mhm.
Squarespace ads. I've been getting them for like 2 years now, and it's oh my God, it's so annoying. But
Guess you just need
well,
to use
that's the thing.
Squarespace
It's
then,
not
Johnny.
worked. I refuse now because I can't stand the sound of it.
Isn't that hilarious when marketing, like, basically it goes full circle where you're just like, now I'm actively choosing to not only not use your service, but I'm going to boycott it and tell everyone about it, how much I
Talk
hate you
shit
because
about
of
you
it.
on my podcast. That's the most like 2022 put down. I'm gonna talk shit about you on my podcast.
Right?
God,
Show me an ad, will
Squarespace.
you?
I'm gonna go use Wix.
Oh my God, Wix.
So yeah, well, I say Anderton's good luck to him. I hope it goes well, and because more content the better. It's not necessarily that they're gatekeeping, but I imagine there's just so much and so much stuff that you probably can't put on YouTube that they might want to do, or that doesn't really serve well on YouTube because we're all playing a bit of a game, aren't we? With the stuff we put out,
That's true.
you gotta kind of work with it to help that algorithm so they can kind of be a bit more free and have those loyal fans be even more loyal. So yeah, pretty cool.
That's the second channel I've seen do that
Yeah,
too. So I think as if you're big enough sort of thing and you have a big enough fan base, you just sort of we've gotten to this point now where uh we're moving past needing a sponsor for quite a few
yeah,
things. If you're big enough and you just literally just like, fuck it, we'll
exactly.
do it
You can
live.
just
Like we're just making our
you're
own
essentially just
thing.
bypassing the middleman, aren't you? And just building your own infrastructure. In the
Mhm.
long term, it's more sustainable because you're not giving like someone like Patreon a cut. And Patreon's fantastic and like
Yeah.
enables content creators such as yourself, to have a platform there ready to use and to explode on and be really successful. But yeah, if you're big enough and have all the people around you to do it, then of course, yeah, you can do it. And it is becoming a trend now, and I'm seeing a lot more people jump on this kind of thing. So yeah, interesting to see if this is what the future of content is, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, good luck to them, I say. Good luck. Let's see how it goes. I've got to say I've signed up for it, so I was interested to see what it'd be like. I've got the 7-day free trial. I was like, "See what this is about? Let's go."
I mean, it's really cool though. I like that they're doing it. I imagine it's like something where you could also have more personalized videos, maybe where it's like a lot more like open Q&As, maybe more
Yeah,
lessons and
I think
stuff like
so.
that too.
It's things that wouldn't
Huh.
necessarily work on YouTube, or like wouldn't work for them,
Yeah.
or like they know that it's not going to get many views, but people that want to see it would find it really valuable, and the people that most want to see it are going to be those people that pay for it.
And the Andertons guys just are always like the guys that are in front of the camera.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
always great.
Absolutely, so good. Even if in their bass intros it is just two basses banging off each other.
And it hurts your ears. Yeah, it's a lot to
but
take
they're both
in.
like phenomenal players. Bless them. I love it. Wow, so much content, so much stuff. Let's move on to our just the second question. Wow. question number 2 comes in from Dan on Instagram with a question that we have had before, but some questions I like to put in again because we've got a different guest or things like that. I think this question I answered on the first episode, but I would love to hear your take on this as well. And my opinion on this is changing all the time. So no doubt I'll see this question again. And you spoiled it earlier because it is, what would your signature bass be? So many things to take into account.
I
So
know,
I'm going to
man.
start with like body shape. And I love all body shapes. But for me, it's probably going to be, I know I quite like new things, but if we're talking like going with a brand, it's going to be like that. I quite like traditional stuff. I like something that's different, but not too wacky, you know? So if I
Same.
was just to base it on a bass, then I'd probably go with a P bass body, I think. Something just really traditional shape looking wise. I love how P basses look. But I would probably have like a PH combination, something like that.
Oh, I
Um,
like that. I
Now,
like that a
having said
lot.
that, I wouldn't use it how you'd think. I wouldn't combine those pickups because I don't really love this. You think like I love a P bass pickup and I love a Music Man humbucker in the bridge. Those are my two favorite pickups and positions of those pickups. Combining them on basses, I've never really liked the way that it sounds. Sometimes it's just like it should sound good together, and here's the best elements of both, but it doesn't really gel that well sometimes, I think.
Have you played a
I have
P
played only
humbucker
one,
before?
I will say that, only one.
I can't think of any models off the
It's
top of my
all
head that
it's only like,
have that.
and mine was like a modded P bass that I played, um, but it's like the Harley Benton enhanced ones, it's which are modeled after the Sandbergs.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Modeled
absolutely. Yeah,
after
you're completely right.
Sandbergs, which are the biggest brand that have those. I
Mhm.
wanna say there's some more that are like it. Fender used to do them, but they weren't like big humbuckers. It was, you know, when they get like the 2 jazz single coils and it's a humbucker. It was kinda like that.
Yeah. They did, like, the modern
Yeah,
what was it? The modern
exactly that.
player or whatever, where they had the
Exactly
2
that.
jazzes
But they
put
had one
together.
that was like, I think it was American made bass that was a P bass, and then that kind of pickup in the bridge. But yeah, I would love the ability to go from a humbucker and then the P bass pickup in the middle. I just think that they're great. And if I was to have one bass to rule them all, it would need those two sounds. Um, and I don't know, I'm hogging the ground a little bit here, but um, one thing about those pickups, I think I'd want the bridge pickup to be splittable, so that then if I could combine them, I've got a PJ
Yes,
configuration because who doesn't love that? And
exactly.
something recently, and this is, you know, being very greedy and asking a lot of this pickup, but yeah, I would explore the option of having a series parallel switch as well, because I've the G&L L2000 that I've got hung up on my wall behind me. That
Dude, that
it's
thing sounds so sick. It
they're
sounds
great.
so
It's
good.
the being able that series parallel really makes a massive difference. And I, you know, would never really bothered about that before until having that bass. And I think it really helps to give it that more kind of like Music Man kind of sound. And yeah, having that ability to do that, I
Yeah.
think is really beneficial. So I like that. So that's where I'm starting with mine. Please take the floor. What are you thinking?
Okay. So do you wanna
Uh,
finish yours first, though?
okay,
Because
okay,
I
yeah,
wanna hear what
I'll
about the
finish.
neck.
No, no, no.
You haven't even
Well,
said
that's
the
the thing
finish
because
or
I kind of
anything.
flip flop around on the finish, so I'm kind of getting that bit to bit that blah, 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 getting to that bit last. I think the neck is a Stingray neck.
Okay.
It's a Stingray neck. I
Hell yeah.
love Stingray necks
Yes.
so much, and I don't actually own a Stingray anymore. I saw I sold my only Stingray, yeah, the G&L because you know tough times. But this year, if that's one of my base goals for this year, it's to get another Stingray because I miss it. The neck feel is just the best I've had. The shape is perfect. I
Oh,
like a
yeah.
modern C shape on a Jazz, but it almost feels a bit too thin sometimes. I like a little bit of girth. You heard it here
Mhm.
first, everyone. But then I don't really like your big 50s P bass style. Like that is nice. Like it's okay for a certain style, but for if I'm playing hard with a pick going really fast, I like that slim-ish neck, but something that's got a bit of chonk that I
Hmm.
can hold on to. So and the Sterling Ray 24 CA that I had, which I think you had once, didn't you, as well? The neck on that's awesome, and the
Yes.
satin feel on the back, perfect. Um,
I mean, the Sterling by Music Man that I have, uh,
I know,
I actually don't know
I
what
know.
model it is.
It's the
I'm
Ray
looking at it right.
It's the
Do it,
Ray
do it, do it. It's the one with the cool
34,
finish.
in the burly finish. I don't know if that's the one. That's the one.
Poplar
The
Burl.
fancy boy
Poplar.
one.
Yeah, I love that bass. The only thing that sucks is the G tuner is like I
Mm,
think about to be done. Which other than that though, for like I think it's like $600-700 dollar bass is like this thing, it kicks ass. I haven't replaced a single thing on it. I love the neck on it. The
no.
finish looks so damn good. I don't know. I've really fallen in love with Stingrays over the
Yeah.
past like I would
I
say like
hadn't
two,
had
3 years.
moment that clicked like that until I got the Stingray, and I was like, "This is the bass for me. This is the type of bass that I love. Oh, this is
Yep.
it. Why has it taken me so long to find this?" I don't know. So then you're probably saying, "Well, why did you sell it?" But it was the type of bass, not that bass specifically. I was like, "Right," because that one had a slab body, and I kind of want one with a belly cut because,
Yep.
sounds, like I'm being a bit of a
Mhm.
diva, but if you're playing long practices, I like it.
No, 'cause I'm the exact same way. Because if it's something that you're playing, like, constantly, it's something especially if it's something that's bothering you just in the back of your head, you're gonna keep thinking about it
Yeah.
over and over again. So I totally understand you saying it's the bass style, but it just wasn't that bass.
Yeah,
Like, I
and I want
completely understand that.
the Ray 34, the one that you've got, but I want it in either the all black one or like the ash one that they do with the roasted maple neck. Whew, damn, damn. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
maybe.
The
Oh,
roasted
well,
maple
that
nuts
might be
look
something
so
that I'd
good.
have on the signature of roasted maple because it looks so good. Oh, I know what I do. I know what I do.
Yes.
It would be roasted maple neck. Unsure about the fingerboard. I'd normally go for like a rosewood style fingerboard, but I like the dark rosewood. I don't love the like Indian laurel or like Palfero necks. They're nice, but they get a bit dry too quickly.
Mhm.
So if it's rosewood, great rosewood. If not, then I'll just leave it there with the roasted shell pink and then black black pickguard.
Yes, Johnny. Oh, that
That's the one.
I love it. I love it. I love that, like, man, I think you and I definitely have a lot of the same taste because when I see anything in, like, a more flatter
Yes.
pink, not neon pink, man, you put black hardware on it, like, mwah,
Absolutely.
that is it.
They did a really limited run of the EHB Ibanez in shell pink, and you can't
Mhm.
see it anywhere.
Uh, I was on the search for that for months. I'm not even kidding, but I think they're
Oh,
only
might be a
released in
luck.
Europe. So then I saw one on Reverb that was like $1,300 and then would have been like an extra $200 to get it shipped, and that's not including taxes. And the EHB itself,
Yeah.
I think, is like 1,200 normally. And I was just like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." And I think I might refinish mine because again, I'm not really satisfied by the pickups in it. I think I'll replace the pickups, and then I think I'm just gonna try and maybe
Ooh.
refinish it myself because and I don't think Ibanez made a lot of those either. I think it was
Oh,
also
what,
when
the
the
pink one?
pandemic was first starting, so it was just one of those things where things started closing down, and they couldn't really get, like, that
Yeah.
many made, and I think they just sorta gave up
The
on it.
flat shell pink was so limited, like, it got quickly replaced by because then they brought out the short scale and like this kind of more not fluorescent,
Mhm.
but yes, the word, yeah, a metallic pink, which
Metallic?
I was like, "This isn't the same
Yeah.
base," and it looks nowhere near as good, I don't think. It's still cool, but if you're gonna have pink, you want it to be a
It's cool,
classy
yeah.
pink. So shell pink all the way.
Uh, that's a great way to put it too, where it's more of
Yeah,
like that flat pastel sort of
that's the
tone.
one.
Oh, yes, dude. Well, with a roasted maple fretboard, and neck, just like a one piece. I like yours
That's
a
the same
lot.
if you want.
Damn, man, that's the thing about signatures is just like, yeah, like your taste changes. Like you can ask me this. Today's Tuesday, uh, and I'll have a
Yeah,
completely
I'll
different
literally see
answer for
one
you
thing
on
and be like, "Oh,
Thursday.
now
You
I'm into
know?
sunburst," you know?
Yeah, yeah. You're like, how could I sell
Yeah,
all these bases right
that's
now?
me.
Just get this one
I've banned
base.
myself from eBay.
Yeah. Man, I think in terms of signature, um, I don't wanna work with Fender. And I, I'll just be straightforward about that just because my favorite bass, like, is I bought that for $500 used, and obviously things change, uh, things cost more nowadays, blah, blah, blah,
Mm,
but it's just like a made in Mexico jazz bass is $800 now, like 7, 800
yeah.
bucks, and it's just
Oh,
like,
yeah, let it be said,
"Yo, what are we
if this
doing?"
was like, because I've kind of spoken more about custom. If it was like proper signature, this is the Johnny Dibble signature, it would not be a if I'm going for a classic like Fender family, it would be a Squire all day. My
Yeah.
whole
Oh,
ethos of
yes,
like the
same
channel
here.
of things is like I want to show that you can get good tone from your hands using affordable gear. You don't need to spend loads of money.
Yep.
That's always been the way that I look at things. Um,
Yeah, exactly. I'm right with you on that. It's just one of those things where it's like, heck, give me a cheap version of this and please in the color that I want. Please in the color that I want. And let me just
yeah,
mod the hell out of it. Because I think, especially with kind of like our just like specific generation, it's kind of like a lot of like our music taste. Like you grew up listening to one thing, but then because there's so much out there, you get in so much and you fall in love with so many different types of music where you end up sort of creating this hodgepodge of different genres all into one singular song sort of thing. So why like I don't think that you should think any different when it comes to making an instrument or an instrument
yeah,
that you really want,
yeah, totally.
in
Because you
my
want to
opinion at
like bring
least.
in all the elements of what you enjoy and really make it your own and something that is unique to you. That's why
Oh yeah.
sometimes I've seen a signature before that's just like a black jazz bass, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, right?
yeah,
You're like, "Cool," and they're just like, "That's
wow.
$4,000, please." You're just
The
like, "No, I don't want that."
uh,
I
the
think
one
from
exception of
No,
that
go
is
ahead.
probably the Tim Comerford Stingray, which is just like black and black.
Shit. Man, oh god, I'm really upset I did not get to keep the one that I got to use. I'm really grateful that I got the opportunity to, like, demo it, but, I mean, considering there were only, like, hell, how many were there total? There were not a lot. It was, like, 2 or
Wow.
300 per color. I mean, and they're all made in the USA, like, made at Ernie Ball's factory and everything, so it makes sense. Um, and it was a badass bass. But yeah, it's just the simplicity of it. I also understand. I think with me, I I would really like to work with Sandberg and essentially kind of loosely recreate my favorite
Oh yeah.
jazz bass, but as a Sandberg. Um, and with a roasted maple neck and probably a rosewood fretboard, or just keep it roasted maple, and then just do the sage green, and just kind of see if they can do a,
Yeah, they're
I
great
guess,
at doing
like,
that.
relic job on
Sandberg.
it. I Oh, yeah, and I think the my biggest thing is I would have to say, if this is my, quote, "signature bass," you have to put the Seymour Duncan SJB3 pickups in it. Like,
Yeah.
that would literally be like a make or break situation for me. Of course, I'm in no position to say that. I'll never be, but at the same time, it's just like
Yeah.
that would just be
Well,
my one
like you said, the
caveat. It's just like, "Yo,
most important things, Seymour
I'm working with
Duncan
Seymour
and your
Duncan."
hands. Seymour Duncan pickups and your hands.
Yeah.
So there's got to be one of that. You've got to have that in there.
Yeah. I've never had a bad time with Seymour Duncan pickups. Anytime I've ever used Seymour Duncan pickups, uh, bass or guitar, they sound incredible, and, I've had the pleasure of working with them a few times too, and great crew, and yeah, it's just one of those things where time after time again, I think not only the feeling of my favorite jazz bass, it's just that sound. It can never, ever, like, do me wrong. It's played God knows how many shows with me from coast to coast, back and forth a few times,
Yeah.
beat it up, and it still sounds incredible. Strings are pretty dead, still sounds
Yeah,
incredible.
that's
Just raise,
that's the
the
trick,
treble a little
everyone.
bit on your amp.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. But I would love, like, a road-worn version of my Sage
Let's
Green. Also
sign the
bring back
petition
Sage
now
Green
because I'd sign it
because
in a
I feel
heartbeat.
like
That is incredible.
yeah. I is when I bought the bass, I didn't know what the deal with the color was. I just thought it was a really cool color. Green's always been, like, my favorite color too, so I was like, "Cool." And I was like, "It's kinda like Obi-Wan's freaking, lightsaber, so it's close enough, right?" And then it's like, in person, it's hard to capture on camera because
Mm,
it can be one shade of green, then you capture it with completely different lighting. It's
yeah.
the base itself is a completely different shade of green, and it's so weird to describe too, but it's just such a good looking bass. And I know Fender came out with
Yep.
it's like Adam Clayton, I think that's his name, the bassist for U2. His signature model is like sage green, but that's also like a
Yeah, I've
$2,000
only
bass.
ever
So it's
seen
just
that
like,
color in the
oh,
for sale in the UK in the P-Bass version of, and yeah, it was like 2002, I think, the model. Um, they need to bring back some of those. That would be a great, like, that's how you revamp the player series as well. Like, just give us some new colors, give some more, and that's what
yep,
sidetracking. That's what I really like about Fender and Fire sometimes is they'll do these special runs. Like the Mustang, they did in like 20 different colors. Not initially, put them out like four or
yep.
five, and then just slowly start doing exclusives for shops and like they did an all black one, and yeah, amazing. Um, so bring back those colors because I would buy a sage green Sandberg Patrick Hunter special all day long. Um, so with have you played a Sandberg before?
Yes, I've played a few of them, mainly at NAMM, but even the
Yeah,
Electra
that's
series
where
kicks
I've
ass,
operated
dude.
mostly in. I've had two of them, the M4 and the VS4, so it's the P-Bass one and they feel they
Yeah,
feel so good and play so well. The neck is like kind of almost similar to the Music Man feeling where it's chunky but slim and comfy at the same time, and they're just built so well, so well. But yeah, awesome. I wasn't expecting you to say Sandberg. Wasn't expecting that. So
I feel, a lot of people would think that I automatically go to Fender, which I understand. Um, so I don't know. It's just not that I don't uh,
yeah,
like Fender. Obviously, I love Fender. It's just I think they just do a lot of sounds so stupid out loud. Sounds like they do a lot of stupid, just like corporate decided stuff where it's just like, guys, I get it.
yeah,
People do like P bases, just like we were talking about
yeah,
earlier, but it's like, for fuck's sake, like, let's change it up. Let's get
yeah,
weird with it. Let's have fun. It's kind of like it's just like the Gibson versus Epiphone thing where it's like you see Gibson just do two different models and then
yeah.
Epiphone's
Here's the
like,
Jack
fuck it, we'll do a
Cassidy, and
Wilshire
here's
because
the
why not?
we're bringing back the
And we'll
embassy.
do this and
All this
yeah.
type of thing. And that's the thing with the smaller brands. They're often more exciting because they can afford to take these risks because they know they'll sell. Whereas when you've got the higher price tags, sometimes they don't. There must be a real, lots of business decisions going into it, and like you say, the numbers sometimes talk too much. But
Yeah.
Squire's very exciting, I think, and in our topic later on, I'm going to talk a little bit about Squire and what I want to see from them. But amazing. Well, coming very soon, our signature bases. Links in the description. Enter the discount code April Fool's Day 2022. Lovely. Thank you so much. Let's move on to our next segment. This segment is probably my favorite on the show, and it is called That Tone You Own. So every week we get our co-host to bring along a tone of theirs that they consider their signature sounds, maybe, or maybe it's just something that they think's cool at the minute that they're enjoying. So Patrick, I knew that it was going to be incredible. Like when you sent it over, I was like, right, well, this is going to blow my face off, isn't it? And yeah, of course it did. And it just sounds so thick and nasty. Before I talk anymore, we'll have a quick listen to it right now.
Like, good. I do not want to hear it.
Like, I don't want to hear it back. No, thank you. It's like hearing my own voice.
It's like when you edit pictures, you're just like, I don't want
That's
to.
my face. Oh, there I am.
Yeah, exactly. It never gets easier. You just accept it.
I find it with like watching videos of me playing live. I'm like,
yeah.
This. He thought he was so cool at the time. It's incredible. I think I've got an inkling as to some of the bits of gear that are being used in there. First off, I want to say I love your style of playing it very hard with a pick, but the precision at which you do it whilst doing that as well is amazing. And I think that because that bass line there, I call it a Hunter special because it's like, you know, if you to show me the DI of that, I'd be like, that's Patrick Hunter. Like, it sounds like one of your bass lines, and that's a good thing. I think it sounds great. Wait, is it one of your? But did you write that, or is it covering something else?
Yeah, I did. It's one of my old band's. It's one of my old band songs, and we were a 3-piece again, and my goal was to always sort of think of the guitar part on the left side, think of the bass part on the right side, where we weren't playing the same things, where we would sort of interject between who's doing the rhythm sort of thing, where if he was my guitar player, Jeff was singing and playing the rhythm, I could play the root notes, but then also play around it and skip around it and have fun with it to where it's not just the same. Here's 4 chords going back and forth. We're killing it and just having fun with it. So then when you actually meet together, it makes that impact of them being together that much bigger, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I think honestly, I think a 3-piece is so exciting, and I think that's maybe where I need to be next. I know I said that earlier, but like, because I do the same thing. I'm rarely just playing the root note. Obviously, like in choruses, things like that, I'm very stuck down. But wherever I can, I'm like doing a little
exactly
bit. To serve the song, though, I'm still always in the pocket. I've got a big thing about that. I hate it when people are going crazy for the sake of it. It's always very tasteful. Trust me. Yeah, I totally. I hear you, man. I totally get you. That's where I would want to be as well. So with this sound clip here, I'm guessing that's the jazz bass.
Yes, jazz bass with a fresh set of Ernie Ball hybrids. I'm very simple when it comes to strings, just because, you know, as a kid, you walk in a guitar store, no matter what guitar store, they're going to have Ernie Balls.
You want the colorful one on the wall, please.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually just hybrids really stuck out to me. And then hybrids and cobalts So I mean, I just
Oh,
really like Ernie Ball strings. They've always felt good. They last usually about a month for me. Um, yeah, and they're also inexpensive. Like that was another main thing, is like when you first start playing and everything, I was like 15, 16, and
you're like,
you're unfortunately a bass player. It's like it's 2 less strings than guitar strings, and it's 3 times the price for a pack. So
yeah. Whenever I need to buy, I really need a string endorsement.
same.
Because I buy so many, and whenever I go and buy guitar strings for my one electric guitar, I'm like, oh god, I got to buy strings. What? It's how
Yeah,
much?
right?
So cheap. Oh my
You're
god, it's
like $6
nothing.
and you're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I'm going back to Ernie Ball now, honestly. Kind of because obviously I was saying I'm like spending all the time on strings. I need something that's a bit more cost effective, and also they're just consistently really good.
Yes.
And I've got them on the Fujigen that I've got behind
Mhm.
me, and they sound great on there. And I was like, oh, these strings feel great, and I was like, oh yeah, these are Ernie Balls, nice.
What particular pack
Um,
do you get for them? Just like Slinkies or
Yeah, at the minute it is just Slinkies. I'm quite a simple man. I quite like it to be as loose as I can get away with.
Okay.
So I quite like a 100 to 45 or 100 to 40. I quite like that kind of a bit bendier. If I'm playing in like standard or drop D, that's normally where I am.
Yeah.
Uh, if I'm going heavier, then I'll probably get like 110. My jazz bass, the Squire, has got 120 on there at the minute, to something I can't remember, but because it's in drop C. So obviously then got to get those thick boys, but I generally like to go light as possible. I only tried the Cobalts once and I had a bad experience with them. So I think I need to try them again.
I think you should. I like the Cobalt a lot, but my main ones are the hybrids. So whereas the regular Slinkies, it's like 105, 85, 70, 50, or something like that.
Yeah.
Hybrids, they're the same for the low 2 strings. So your E and A are the same, but your D and your G are actually lighter. And
Nice.
I've really found, especially live over the years, was that
Mm.
uh I didn't have to really use a compressor because the thinner gauge of those top 2 strings would really help stand out,
Huh.
and they're also just super comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's just me
Well,
personally.
do they do them? I'm sorry. I'm going to buy some now. Live on air. Just looking at the gauges. Yeah. I think I
Like,
might
there's
have
not a
to.
huge difference between them.
No.
Is it like
Oh,
5 or something like that? It's like
I think so.
45.
Oh, I'm looking. Flipping out. I was looking at the wrong ones. I was like, they're the same.
Yeah, you son of a bitch, you lied.
I just spent my hard-earned money on that. Um, yeah, it's only 5 in it, but it makes a big difference,
And it just has
every
that
little bit.
slightly, like, more trebly sound to your upper strings too, but not, like, harsh or anything like that. I don't know, it's just hybrids were when I think I got them initially because they were out, like, whatever guitar store I was at was out of Slinkies, and I was like, "I guess I'll try these." And I was like, "Oh, it's not, like, a huge difference, but I really like the subtle difference of it, though." But, yeah,
Yeah,
it's the jazz bass fresh set of Ernie Ball hybrids because as every bassist should know, before you record something, you should put on fresh strings if you can.
absolutely. Unless you're playing like some flat wound thing
Yeah,
and
then you're just
rounds.
cheating.
Yeah, come on.
I love flats though. They're so, like, weird and they shouldn't work, but they really do work. I don't know. I
Yeah,
my main P bass I replaced with flats and it's like, "This is great."
Ah, nice. Yeah, I've got the Sire D5 on the way, and I'm planning on that being my flat bass.
Johnny, I'm so
Um,
sorry about the D5, by the way. I feel like this has been, like, more
hey,
than, like, half a year now of you just being like, "Son of a bitch!"
it's a sore subject, okay? I'm surprised that I mustered the courage to bring it up.
Every time, like, I see you, like, update it on Instagram, it's so great, and then it's just like, "Fuck, man." I always feel
I
so
It
bad.
was the 8th of February, 2021 that I ordered it. It's
Oh,
coming up to a
man.
year.
Oh god.
So yeah, I'm every day I'm checking my emails from Andertons being like, "Oh, please don't say
Yeah, right?
this." Yeah. Oh god. I'm checking them now just as can you imagine? Now I find
You're
that
like, come on, Captain, give me something good.
yeah, god damn it. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It's annoying because they've got them there at the studio as well because they're in the background and I'm like, they are. I can see it. But anyway.
Makes you wonder how many people order them before you then.
Yeah, well, I ordered it like the day after they announced it, I think, and yeah, crazy. But they're pretty much not in the UK at the minute. I think there's one for sale secondhand at the minute. And it's because somebody got it abroad, I think, and
No
everyone's like,
kidding.
"What? Can't get this anywhere." I just closed the notes on my phone. That was silly, wasn't it? But yeah, so what's your signal chain after that then? We've got the strings, we've got the bass. Are you going into any pedals here, or is it all amp sims, or what's going on?
That was strictly the Alpha Omega Photon, and that's it. Even like the
Oh,
cabs and everything. So that was just directly into my Focusrite Scarlett. Because live, I would usually have like my Dark Glass Microtubes 500, and then just use the Alpha Omega as my like. It never turned off. This is
yeah.
before like they came out with the Alpha Omega head too.
Mm.
So if I were to play live today, I would just use Alpha Omega head
Because the
as
Alpha
my
Omega
main sound.
because the Alpha Omega is your like favorite
Oh
distortion
man,
circuit, isn't it?
it's so sick. It's like a vintage microtubes on steroids, but in a really good way.
Well, that's the thing because I've got the Vintage Ultra version 2 on my pedal board. Um, and it's the first because I go back and forth with Dark Glass. I'm
Mhm.
a long-term Sans amp user. I love a nice, scoopy, clean tone. But taste change. But I love the Dark Glass distortion sound. The thing I never
Yeah.
got on board with was how whenever I've had several. I've had the X Ultra and the Microtubes, just B7K. And whenever I kicked them in, I'd love how it sounded, but I wanted the way that I used distortion to be, here's the distortion, now I take it away. Like
Oh, yeah,
use it
yeah.
as an effect rather than an always on.
Yeah.
So I always found that the Dark Glass wasn't quite right for doing that for me with the pedals that I had at the time anyway, because they would be like, here's the Dark Glass sound. And then it's completely changed the clean sound. And then you're back to the scoop sound. And it
Yeah.
never really worked for me like that.
And you're like, this is not what I want.
Yeah. It's like, I love both sounds, but they don't work together.
Yeah, I understand that.
But there's a but. The vintage is right up my alley. It's that perfect, like nice transparent vintagey sounding overdrive that I really like. Well, it's in the name. But I still am tempted to get the Alpha Omega now, even if I just get like the Omicron one. Not
Oh, the little one? Absolutely.
yeah,
Because then I feel like you could have the vintage, especially if you just like you could keep the drive low and have that as like your main sound. So it'd be more of that warm, classic, overdriven sound, but not just a little crunchy, not too much. And then you
yeah.
could add the Omicron on top of that too and make it like super thick.
Yeah, absolutely. And viewers at home, when I say Omicron, I mean the pedal, not the variant. Please don't. I don't want that. Bit of that on my board.
There's plenty of that here in Austin if you want some.
Send it my
Just
way.
come on over.
Send it my way. Get it to me. It's not like chicken pox. Like push your kids near it. Get it now. Get it over and done with. But yeah, and yeah, actually one of my favorite settings is on that Dark Glass is to have the drive all the way down, but the blend all the way up.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
It adds just this spice and a little bit of bite to it with that jazz bass. Flipping heck, it's incredible.
And it's not overbearing. It's not clanky. It's just nice, thick, and gritty.
Yeah, it's almost kind of acting like a driven compressor or something. But then you add like some subtle compression on the low end in there, and you've got this nasty sound. Sorry, we've completely digressed from what we were talking about. Again, we're very good at this. But that's a good podcast, right? So where were we then? Yeah, so into there, and so it's just using the Dark Glass,
the Photon.
The Photon. That's it. I had it in my head then. I was like, was that right?
Yeah,
the Photon, and yeah, that is. Do you think that's your favorite Dark Glass pedal to date?
Yes, because it's just my favorite distortion circuit, but now it's got all the extra little goody bits. Hell, it could be my audio interface if I wanted to
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
which is really cool. It's just one of those things where I understand because it is so expensive, people are just like, "Yo, that's a pedal." But it's just like, it is just a pedal technically, but it does so much more on top of
yeah.
that,
It's kind of built to
considering
be
it can be like
everything.
MIDI. Yeah, it can be like MIDI controlled. And it's just like, I'm too dumb for MIDI. So I'm like, I don't know what it means, but I know it's cool though. I know it's cool.
That I have the same opinion where I'm like, I do want a quad cortex, but I feel like I'm we're
Oh
not
God.
there.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna try and get one this year, and um I know I'm gonna be in over my head. Just
Everyone,
straight up.
everyone that I've spoken to that has one has been like, no, trust me, like it's really easy to use, and they do look like I've got the
Yeah.
HX Stomp, and it's like,
I'm about to say you have the stomp, so I mean it's same but different, I
yeah, yeah.
imagine.
I have a love hate with modelers and amp sims and things like this because I've kind of realized that less is more sometimes. And when if I've got all these options and so much and so many little tiny
Yeah.
tweaks that I can do, it zaps all creativity out of me. And then I'm sat there going, oh, it hasn't got enough mid range at this
'Cause
frequency, you know,
yep.
and and I end up just hating it. And I'm like, oh God, this is, and then when if I can't get it to sound right and I don't like it, then I'm like, what's wrong with me? You know, there's so I
Yeah.
should be able to get every tone that I want and every amazing tone out of this, and I can't do it. Ooh, you know.
Can I give one suggestion for you if you haven't tried it before? Because this plugin changed my brain, I swear to God. The Corey Wong Neural DSP plugin,
Ooh,
traditionally a guitar plugin,
yeah,
yes, but they actually made it in mind with both because Corey has his own
of
bass
course.
like presets on there.
Oh,
And that's the main tone I've been using, I think, for the past like 6 months or so.
holy
And it's
moly.
very transparent and it's very, but it gives you a nice thick bass tone if you want it. And I've had an absolute blast with it. And of course, with like Neural DSP stuff, it's like you can get, was it like 7 days free, 14 days free, or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And like I bought it like after like 2 days because I was just like, damn. And there's so much you can do with it. And there's a new update for it, and they gave it a chorus pedal. So
Well, well, yeah, because I know he started out on bass, Corey Wong.
Mhm.
So that's really I didn't know that. That's really cool. Um,
It's
I've talking about like um getting the finesse of tone and things like that. I've kind of made my peace with it now. I use it in a way
yeah.
that I get on with it, and I learned something about myself in that whole process, and about what I enjoy and what process I can use with things like that. But yeah, yeah. Thank you for the tip. I'm gonna check that out
I'm
now.
kind of because I was kind of in the same boat where I was just like, man, I'm sick of fiddling with this. I'm so done with it. And when I started using the Corey Wong one, it was just like I started with one of the presets, made it a little more myself. And then on top of having the different amps and cabs and stuff, there's only like 3 amps, 3 amp heads and 3 cabs.
Yeah,
And then there's a 10 band graphic EQ you can use on top of that as well. That I just like lower the mids just a bit.
yeah.
And then now it's my set it and forget it tone. So it's like pretty much every just strictly bass demo for clean sound, I just use that no matter what. And then there's like a little tube screamer thing you could add to it too. But yeah, that and like the Ampeg SVT suite,
Mhm.
I've had a blast with that one too.
Nice. Yeah, they because they offered I think they were offering a free trial, and I missed it. You know, I was like, bloody hell. Um, but yeah, it does sound so good, and I love all things Ampeg. Um, that's the majority of the time. I've got all these amp sims in here, but I'm just pretty much using the SVT all the time with
Yeah.
the 810 cab because in my opinion, it's like one of the only ones that sounds, or at least what I want it to sound like. You know, I want it to sound huge, and so I need the big cab.
Exactly.
Um,
It's got the fridge sound to it.
exactly, and it's just as cool. Um, so yeah, awesome. Well, I've learned something, and I hope everyone at home's learned something as well. Um, Neural DSP, if you want to sponsor this, then you know just reach out. One day I'll stop asking for stuff from people that will never listen.
Never stop asking.
That's that.
Be hungry forever.
Yum, 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 yum. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with your delicious tone?
It's taken a lot of years for me to even know what I want. A lot of times I don't know what I want, but then you just sort of keep messing around and you figure it out. I think a lot of people, especially when they really start getting into tones and stuff, they want this and they want it now sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the good and bad thing about like plugins and amp sims and stuff like that is you're able to get something like pretty quick, but then it's also, I think you need to learn how to dial in a tone. And I think you really need to learn that your tone does come from your picking hand.
100%.
Like it, and it's one of those things when I actually came to terms with it. Cause I remember for years, I was like, no, it doesn't. That's so stupid. And it's just like, because you give someone the same gear, you put it through 5 different people's hands, you're going to get 5 completely different tones.
Definitely.
And I just never understood that. It's just like, it's a patience game.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I start to hear, and once you get to know your playing style and how
oh
you,
yeah.
you start to hear gear in a different way. I think that you start listening to something and you're like, I can hear a characteristic in there that I know if I played it, it would sound how I want it to, or like it would sound this way.
Right? Yeah.
Like I'll see some semi-hollow bass that someone's demoing, and I'm like, if I put some distortion on that, and really, like, I feel like those pickups are going to saturate that distortion so well. Let's do it, And so you kind of just learn these little nuances about yourself along the way. That's what music's about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Loads of advice in there for me and for all the listeners at home. Very valuable guest you are. So let's move on to the final segment of the podcast. So now we're on to the big bass debate. Now, normally this comes in the form of a question, or it's just a subject that I've pulled out of thin air. The latter is the case with this one because I wanted to talk about, like I said, being the first podcast of the year, I want to talk about 2022 moving forward. Predictions, what are we going to see? There's no NAMM this year, but people are probably still going to release things like Ibanez, in January time. Hell, by the time this goes out, there's probably more announcements that we've missed. I've got a list of things that I think I want to see or I think will happen just based on what we haven't seen in previous years. I've got 3 things written down that I think I'd like to see. Have you got any in mind?
I have 2 really big ones.
Nice. Well, if I start then we can go me, then you, then me, then you. Wait, like that.
Perfect.
First off is kind of something we touched on earlier, and that is some roasted maple Squiers. I think they've been testing the waters with this, with the contemporary range, like the active matte finish ones, which just, the olive green one. Give it to me. It looks so good. And I'd take that in a 5-string. And the maple necks look great, I think. I think they're testing the waters and they're going to do some more. I think Fender are quite late to the game in doing this. The Squier Contemporary, like Strat, has got it as well. I think they're getting there, and I loved that drop with like the new Paranormal stuff, and Squier do great things. I think this year they've had a great year, or 2021, should I say? So I think we're going to get some roasted maple stuff maybe in like the classic vibe range, or even redo the classic vibe range, rename it, bring back vintage modified. I feel like I always see people commenting, and I've played them myself. The old vintage modified stuff was so good in that era, and then the classic vibe is still good, but it has taken a dip a bit in terms of quality and reputation. I think it's starting to slip a little bit with Squier because,
and it's just going up in price.
Well, yeah, exactly, with all that inflation. Like I know, I think you had some issues as well with the classic vibe Mustang.
Yeah. That was really disappointing. And I was like, damn, this was $400 too. And I think it's just because Harley Benton's just like
Re-
kind of they've honestly just completely
Yeah,
changed the game in terms of what you're able to get for how
absolutely.
much.
They're making. I think I said it in a video recently. They're making competitors compete because, yeah, oh yeah,
Good. As they
100%.
should.
It's
I
really
love
it's
it.
healthy competition. Competition is so good for the consumer, for the industry, everything.
Mhm.
Um, so I love it. And of course, they're able to do that because they cut out the middleman and sell direct,
Yep.
through Thomann. Um, what was I saying? Squire, yeah. So I think they've got to raise the bar again. They've risen the bar with their Affinity series. I think that new range is being received a lot higher than the old Affinity range, and so I want to see the same again now with the Classic Vibe, or bring it back, take it back to the vintage modified era. I think there's some changes they need to do with quality control in those factories in Indonesia. I've personally not had any lemons. I've had one that was like some weird, different colored woods, which you wouldn't think would make it past.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I always recommend to people, if you're going to buy one, try it out first. Try it in a shop to make sure that you've got a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can.
But yeah, I want to see some more Squires with some roasted maple in there. What
I
would
love
be
that.
your first thing that you want to see?
So it's funny that you bring that up because I want to see a Starcaster base. I want really cool hollow body bases. And I'm surprised that I don't know what the deal is, but there has to be something between Fender and Mike
Mm.
Kerr of Royal Blood, considering they've custom made him that like orange, like
Jaguar?
with
Yeah.
Jaguar base. Yeah, with just like the one humbucker, but it's like, yo, where's his signature model? Where's that bright orange one humbucker,
Yeah.
like super simple,
But
straightforward
hey,
rock
look, they've
machine?
kind of started doing it with the Affinity one, with the single humbucker Jaguar, which was a
Hmm.
medium scale, which
I
I didn't love. But
Yeah.
yeah, like they can do it. They've the groundwork. Let's see it.
Hmm. I just want to see like I think my big one is like not only the Starcaster, but I want to see weird colors. Like weird. It's like the whole marketing team needs to like just go do acid in like the forest or something together and then come back, give us some weird colors. I love traditional sunburst colors. I love that a lot of manufacturers have started doing matte
Mhm.
finishes now, which can definitely think that you think the same way, which as someone pointing lights at a finish, thank you very much for that. It's just one of those things. I
Yeah.
love matte finishes. They don't show fingerprints as much. And it's just I want to see a bigger variety and of just more risks from bigger companies. But at the same time, this is probably not the right time to ask that because logistics is still completely
Yeah.
fucked
Yeah.
because of the
Exactly.
pandemic that's never
No.
going away.
No, I blame Sire. I just blame Sire. Yeah. Um,
See, and like that's the thing about Sire's, like Sire's doing like a bunch of awesome, like really
yeah.
cool shit. And it's just like, damn, dude, like
And they're
they're killing
selling,
it.
like hotcakes.
Yep.
And they seemingly came out of nowhere as well and did all that. So I think it's, sometimes we can make up excuses for these big companies when really they have the power and the money to do this and the market share
They
to
sure
to
do.
to make us bigger splash. Don't get me wrong, I love 50s aesthetics on guitars, like your anodized gold scratch plates and your the black bodies and all the white bodies with that. Or it's unreal.
But we've had
Yeah,
70 years of it too. So it's
exactly.
like, all right,
Exactly. So
switch it
let's
up.
let's take it to 2022, baby. Um, yeah, totally agree. And the Starcast, I think, would be really cool. They're hard to get hold
Oh,
of
right.
now as well. Like, can't see them anywhere.
They're stupid expensive too. I was looking one up and it was like $1,200. And I was like, this is used. This was totally like $800 when it
Yeah,
came out
and
new. So it's just
when
like, damn
if
it.
they bring it out, I want to see it across all levels as well. Like, give us an American one, give us a Mexican one, and
Yes.
give us a Indonesian made one because they seem to do that with the Dimension base. Do you remember that? Like, they just went,
Mm-hmm. I do.
"Here it
Yep.
is in all, like, levels and colors and stuff, and 5 strings and 4 string," like, and it was like, where's this come from? Okay. So let's see that with some more models.
I
Nice.
love it.
So the next one for me, I want to see Sterling do a Cutlass. I've never
Yes.
played one. Never played the Music Man Cutlass. It's, for those that don't know, it's essentially their version of a P bass, kind of like Sandberg with the. It's like a P bass pickup but with just 4 magnets. Like 2 on each. I'm describing this really badly. Just basically imagine a Music Man pickup, but in the shape of a P bass. It's got 2 per. Oh, flipping heck! This is Johnny. This is that's the one.
Coils?
Yeah,
Is coils right?
2 big
I
pole
think.
pieces per pickup. There you go.
Yes.
Honestly, that's what
Exactly.
all my videos are like. It's just me going, no, say again. That's why the editing is so frantic.
That's me just in general in life, so I feel you.
But yeah, I wanna see that. I wanna see. I love Stingrays. Don't get me wrong, bloody love them. But let's see that as well. See the offering and
I would love to see an
yeah,
affordable version.
totally.
And it's funny that you bring that up because when I first met Zach from Coheed and Cambria, when I did
Oh
like Let's
yeah,
Talk
I
Gear
love
with
that
him,
video.
uh,
That's cool.
thanks, man. It like that was like the most surreal experience of my life because it's like, cool, it's your favorite fucking band. Don't be weird. Yeah. And Zach's the most like kind-hearted, just most level-headed, just sweetest
That's
fucking
such
guy.
a
And
relief. Things like
all
that.
he had for that tour were cutlasses, and I knew he was a
Mm.
P-bass guy. I knew it, and I was just like, "So what's with the cutlasses?" And he was straight up just like, yeah, so me and my tech hit Fender up, and they just never got back to
Oh,
me." And I was just like, while you're headlining with Mastodon and headlining over here with Taking Back Sunday and Fender's like he said, "Yeah, we sent it to, like, multiple A&R guys that we know are still active," and he was like, "And that was kind of a bummer," but then my tech told me about these cool, like, P-bass style from Ernie Ball, so we hit up Ernie Ball, and they were super welcoming and asked how many we wanted, asked me if I wanted them, like, in different colors and stuff, and sent over
nice.
strings with it too. And like, I was like, damn, so you got burned. And then this other company was just like, yo, let's pick that up for you and don't worry
Things
about it. And it was just
happen
like,
for a
that's
reason. Silver
cool.
linings and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I got to play his Cutlass too, like pre like soundcheck or whatever, like on stage with his fucking giant ass Fender
Blasting behind you.
Bassmaster, like full rig. Oh my god. And talk about being nervous too, because like the whole crew's just chilling or whatever, but it's just like this guy. Yeah, exactly. And you're just like trying to keep it
You're
quiet,
like,
but it's like that's not
yeah,
how that works when you're
yeah.
on that
You're like, and
amphitheater
I've forgotten
stage.
how to play everything. I
Yeah,
don't have any picks on me. I guess I'll slap. Or
ex-
you're there like
exactly.
palm muting.
And so, and like that Cutlass felt so good, but they've
Yeah.
only made American ones. They've only made actual Ernie Ball ones,
Yeah,
not
because
Sterling
like
by Music Man ones.
I love, like I said, a Stingray style neck, a Music Man neck. Give us that on
Hmm.
the P bass, and it's a match made in heaven. Like beautiful, and like a classic P bass. People love it for the neck and the way that it kind of limits you. That's what I kind of like about a P bass, is that it forces you to play in a slightly different way. But
Exactly.
it's another flavor, isn't it? It's a different taste with the Cutlass. So and different sound. I think those pickups they're not it is P bass sounding, but it's got a slightly different characteristic. I think it's a bit more modern, which is what I
Absolutely.
found with the Sandberg Electra, which has a similar kind of style of pickup. But yes, bring it on. Come on, let's do it. Sterling, if you're watching, I've promoted it for you now. So just send them across. Send them across. We'll take them.
Right. And Sterling's done so many cool finishes lately too in the past couple of years. Like they're making their mark,
Yeah,
and it's like hell
absolutely.
yeah,
And
man.
like that's the sub series has been like one of the biggest selling, and it's like bases that
Yeah.
people rave about. So yeah, great stuff all round. Give it to us now. Take the floor. What else do you want to see?
Um. So not just like bass guitar specific, but just all around. Um, I think I just want to see more useful I kind of multi-effect. So after I tried out the Zoom, what was it, like the Z4 or
Yeah.
something like that? B4, I think Zoom B4, $100. Thing sounds killer. Andrew,
Yeah.
Amp the bass player, that's literally all he uses. And like he makes it sound so good. He does
Yes.
all of his like
Yeah,
how to sound like
his
series
Thundercat
with it. And
video
it's like,
came out
dude,
today for me, I
yes.
think it is.
Yeah. Yes. And I know there's like the Helix and everything, and there's so many to take care of, but I would love to see more, like, I guess just more
Yeah.
bass centered ones where it's just a bass multi effects one where because uh basically like with the Zoom, as cool as it was when I played it, uh obviously there's a lot more things where it's just like, oh, here's like the Jocko sound or something like that. If it's just a
Yeah.
regular effects unit where say I don't know how many the Stomp has, but, like, obviously
Oh,
compared to, like,
yeah.
how many guitar presets there are, which, I mean, we all as bass players get like, we know, we understand. So, like, I wanna see
Yeah,
more, like, bass specific ones, like
totally.
that
I've got the
Zoom.
B3, and it's awesome. It's so good, and you're totally right. We know the assignment. We understand. It's, we're swamped with all the guitar stuff, and on the Stomp it is mostly that. One thing about the Stomp, presets are bad. Presets are no good. None of them. They're notorious for it. Line 6, like people are always like, yeah, just as long as you can get past the presets and work out your own stuff, you'll be all right.
I feel that's, like, the case for quite a
Yeah.
few multi-effects units too is, I even heard like that about the Quad Cortex when it first came out, where it's just like, man, some of these, like, stock ones
Really? So
sound like garbage. But then I don't know if that was just, like, people just purposely just being dicks about it because
yeah.
they, like, love their Kempers or whatever the hell they're called. So it's just
So
like, man, guitarists are
I was
weird.
about to say I've heard the complete opposite about the Quad Cortex. That's the one thing they've been like, holy moly, like the presets are actually really good. But yeah. Uh One thing, the new Harley Benton one is out now. Doesn't look like there's any bass stuff on it. Nothing. I might be wrong, but like any
Yeah.
marketing they've done and anything on the website, no mention of bass whatsoever. Maybe there's a bass-centered one coming out. Don't know. Would be good.
That'd be cool. I mean, I know, so Hunter, Aggiefish, he works with Harley Benton a lot in terms of,
Yeah.
creating, like, new guitars and stuff. Like, he works on, what's it called? Whenever, like, oh, consulting or whatever. So he helps with that, and there's been so many times where I've literally just, like, texted Hunter and been like, "Hey, this is a Gibson Grabber. Now make it."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's the appeal of this?" I was like, "If you make a four $500 Gibson Grabber, like, sort of thing, where it's just not like like, where it's just different
Yeah.
enough where they don't get sued," I was like, "They will sell." And he was just like, "Are you sure?" And I was like,
It's literally
"Trust
all we're
me."
asking for. And like it's amazing that you said this because I'll move now on to my last one, which is Ripper/Grabber.
Dude,
Yeah.
yes. I love that we were thinking the same
Like
thing.
whether it's Harley Benton or Epiphone, bring it back in some capacity that's an affordable version. Um, the
Yeah.
Come on, just give it to us. It's all. I feel like there's nobody that's filled that gap in the market. It's just
I think the closest is Sarek, but
it's not
considering they're
exactly
handmade in
accessible.
Chicago, it's exactly. Um, and I know Gibson reissued was it like the
Yes.
RD like in 2018 or something like that, but it was still like $1,800. And of course it's Gibson. So after like 6 months or something like that, seemingly
Yeah.
it was just sort of
And
disappeared.
it's
And I
not
was just
gonna
like,
come
good job,
set
Gibson.
up
You did it.
either.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And so, yeah, I think the coolest thing Gibson did was they did the reverse, the non-reverse Thunderbird last year, but it's also like $1,800, and I already know what it feels like, and I already know what it sounds like too because they haven't changed
Yeah,
anything in
that's
like
that's what
40
Andrew was
years.
saying in the live stream we did the other day. He was like, Yeah, like it's one of my worst bases of the year because it just played disgustingly, like in the shop.
Yet, if I get the opportunity to try one out, I have to, just because I mean, I'm sure after 2 seconds playing it, I'll be like,
Yeah, it's
"It was a
shocking, isn't
mistake."
it? When you get something
But
that's 300 quid or like $400, on the shelf, and it plays great out the box. Pick up something that's like upwards of 1,000, and you're like, "What is the excuse here? Like, this is terrible." Like, and it just doesn't give me a good
right?
impression or first impression of what this is going to sound like because
The best is, like, the best is when you're thinking, like, "I paid how much
yeah,
for this
right.
neck dive?"
Hey, that's heritage in that necktie. Yeah.
It's traditional,
It's like
and you
a
will like
metaphor
it.
for our reputation, you know? We're trying to hold it up, but it's just going down.
Yep. God, I would love to see someone tackle a grabber of some sort, and I think Sarek did it beautifully because it looks so
Yeah.
damn good and so classy too. But again, because they're, like, handmade in Chicago, they are not cheap, but apparently, like,
Oh,
they are
I
worth
I
every
hear
single
nothing but good
penny.
things. Of course, if you're ordering from there, you know what you want, and you're gonna love it because it's custom made for you.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just hear nothing but good things, and they sound phenomenal. Just so,
Yeah.
consistent and warm and gives me that fuzzy feeling inside. Um,
I think if Harley Benton doesn't do it, then I think, Dunnable should. 'Cause Dunnable's done, like they have their Dunnable, R2, or is it Dunable? It's
have I
Dunable.
heard of
Look
this? I
up
don't think I have.
R2. They're by Sasha Dunnable, who's in, is it Intronaut? Uh, Intronaut, I think. Everyone's gonna be
Oh,
like,
I can
"Boo, you're
see
wrong." But just
I
look
can
up
see
the Dunnable
yeah.
R2, and they have the DE series, which is $1,300, and it's a
Oh,
RD
I
style
know
base.
this.
So I think that's one way to push into it, and I think if they did like a ripper or a grabber style, it's just kinda weird because I feel like grabbers are just they're there, but
The
I don't
license
know
and the
what it
copyright will be
is,
in public
and it's
domain
just like
soon. Like, haven't been used for that long.
yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
yeah, I'm totally on the same page. I want the classic grabber with the movable pickup as well. Like, that's such a
Mhm.
cool feature
I wanna
that,
be able
like,
to
we just
slide it.
don't see. And I don't know how, back in the day, how useful that actually was to people, but I love the idea of that and being able to move it up and down, get a different sound out of it. Um,
You know, it's not a P pickup, it's
yeah,
not a J
yeah,
pickup, it's something
totally.
different.
And it's going to give you totally different sounds and feeling as well, because those, they're notoriously weigh an absolute ton. Those bits, because you've got
Yeah.
what is it you've got? You've got a Gibson. Are you a grabber or ripper?
I had I had a ripper. I sold it because I realized, you know what, I'm just not in love with
Because it
it.
had quite a lot of work done as well,
Um,
didn't it?
and yeah, it was like a 73 or something like that too. It was a cool bass. I used to have a grabber, a natural one, and I sold that probably like 6 years ago or so. Um, I still regret selling it. No, it was like 7 years ago. It was a while. And then I got a Gibson Grabber 2 last year. Um, but the truss
Uh,
rod turned out to be
that's my
broken.
worst nightmare.
So I sent it back to the guy. I sent it back to the guy in Japan, and yeah, he was not happy. And I was just like, "Yo, it's funny because I remember not. I remember spending $1,400 for a Gibson Grabber that's not
Wow,
broken, and I was heartbroken by that. But this is one of those
yeah,
things. It sucked, but
damn.
you know,
Well, Harley
I
Benton.
can't
No,
pay for
exactly. All it's
bills
going
with a
to do is
broken
a really
grabber,
expensive doorstop. Right.
right?
Well, Harley Benton, put the Marquez in the bin and help us out here. Give us something that we want, please. Beautiful.
For real. I just think if they did it, like, it would be a
100%.
knock out of the park. But I guess I'm pretty biased technically though,
Hey,
so.
you're only biased because you've got good taste, That's how I think. That's how I approach everything.
Well, considering we had the same answer, then I guess. Oh, would you look
great
at that?
minds
We
are
both do.
thinking alike, baby. So thank you so much, mate, for coming on. That brings us to the end of our podcast. Is we've been going for like nearly 2 hours now, and it doesn't feel like that at all. It's absolutely
It really doesn't. I'm sorry I kept talking. I should have warned you ahead of time at least, because it's like, cool, I get to finally hang out with Johnny. And then it's also just like, oh yeah, but I also like talking gear. But you like talking gear
it's a
too. So it's just like a
massive
back and
mistake.
forth that never ends.
Let's never do this again. No, opposite. Let's do this again. I hope you come back on in the future. It'd be really cool. We can shoot the shit all day.
I would love to, man.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't need to say this. I ask people to promote themselves at the end, but if people are watching this, they know who you are. But hey, for those that might be living under a rock, where can people find you and all that jazz?
Well, you can look me up at Johnny Dibble, JONNY space DIBBLE. I'm a really cool bloke. I am the dog's bollocks. And really, my name's Patrick Hunter, but Johnny, you are so fun. You're just like so chill. I love it, man. I love that we finally got to do this. I don't know. I just feel like yeah, you are literally like a part of me just across the pond.
It's cut from the same cloth. That's how I think of it. And yeah, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure. YouTube, Instagram, Patreon. Go and sign up if you haven't. You won't regret it. And get involved. Go and leave a comment. Leave a comment down below on this video as well. If you've come from Patrick's channel or you're a fan of this channel, comment down below, sharing the love. That's what it's all about. We want to see positive comments down there. None of this ripping each other's throats out and all that. No, it's a beautiful place to be. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Patrick, thank you so much again for coming on. And we'll see you all again very soon. That's not how that's not normally how I end it.
Bye, y'all.
Got my own catchphrase wrong. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Ta-da!
Wait, say thank y'all for listening.
Oh, sorry. Should I start nicking that one?
No.
I'll really become the British Patrick, aren't I?